Hello, everybody. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Highly Suspicious Podcast with Louie and Preston. My name is Louie.
My name's Preston.
Reporting once again live from the trap house. We are in here. We are back. We are reloaded. We are sitting atop a loaded docket today. I have stuff to talk about. Preston has stuff to talk about. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a chill day.
We were both kind of on recovery mode yesterday. Am I correct in saying that?
A little bit. It's also one of those where it's like, once I started to feel better, it was like, well, gotta go over to Sunday dinner with the fam. So I just took an edible and thugged that shit out.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different ways we could start the show off. I don't think that there's a wrong way to start the show off. Do you want to bring the thing you were talking about?
Yeah, sure.
Up first?
This is actually just super relevant because I think it happened like yesterday. So, do you know who Vivik Ramaswamy is?
That's the net neutrality guy, isn't it?
You know he's running for president, right? Or for for the Republican Party.
Is that the guy I'm thinking about though?
I don't know if he's known for net neutrality.
Keep explaining it. I'm gonna look up.
But basically, I don't know the context, but yeah, so they have X Spaces live stream with Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Alex Jones, and others. And
that sounds wild.
Forgot to turn off his mic and went to the bathroom. And
who did?
Oh, Vivek. And 100,000 people were watching and heard him taking a piss. And I will play you the clip. So it will be 100,002.
Can I guess who calls it out?
Sure.
Does someone call it out?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess Andrew Tate's like, dude, who's pissing right now?
We're promoting an optimistic, pro-human future that the science and evidence shows is real and that we need. Gentlemen, I have to go.
Yeah, I just want to be sort of, exactly, I want to be very clear about my position. I'm super pro-human, and I mean all humans. Humans in America, humans in
Somebody's got their thing open
and everywhere else.
Their phone open in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's Vivek, that's your phone, Vivek. I'm not able to mute you. Vivek. Oh, perfect. Go ahead, Elon.
Well, I hope you feel better.
I feel great, thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
That's such a, old head person thing to do.
Right?
Mom, mute your microphone. Mom, we're in the Zoom call. Turn off your camera.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious. The fucking brain trust.
Right?
In that.
Literally. No. And leave it to Alex Jones.
You know, if you told me that all those people were in a space together, that's not the topic I would expect out of that. I wouldn't expect Vivek to be the guy with the headline-worthy
moment.
So yeah. I'm going to ask the obvious question here. Does that hurt his campaign?
I feel like it's just so stupid. It just shows, and all their reactions too, just you can tell that it was
quick.
awkward.
I can't mute you, please stop.
I can't mute you.
Because they wanted to save him.
Yeah, and Elon's just I don't even know what they're talking about, but him just being like,
I'm pro-human, I like humans. Fucking
as a non-human, I love humans.
Humans are my best friends. My best friend is a human, so I love humans.
Humans in America, humans in Africa. I'm like, yeah, did he know that there are humans in Asia? Humans in Europe?
He's forgetting some continents, but it's okay, Elon.
Bro,
I'll let it slide.
Is he just now learning this? There are humans in Africa? No wonder this motherfucker got bullied, you know? Shit. Just listen to him.
He probably said shit like that in class.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What the fuck did Elon say?
Just stop saying odd shit. What the fuck?
Bullying works.
Bullying does work.
So you don't think that affected his campaign?
I think it would. But I also
just
think
a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, just a little bit. But I also think people already know that he's a dumbass.
So,
you know?
so it
he said other stupid things. He's done other.
So it doesn't really affect the specific
image.
subsect of
Yeah,
his fans. Okay.
It's just
Let
some
me
people
ask you this.
who might have thought that he had some points are now going to be like, I don't know about this guy.
Would his image be more destroyed if he took a shit on the
Yeah, if
spaces?
he just like fucking farted and everyone was like, "Oh my god, what is that?"
You're on the
Vivek,
spaces.
turn it off.
On the spaces with Alex Jones, and you're like,
One of
That
them would
would be
definitely.
insane.
They would have reacted so differently instead of being like, "Well, I hope you feel better." They were like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?"
because they took a second to recollect themselves
Yeah.
after pissing. And
Right.
I feel like that's a very
Could have ignored it even. You know?
Here's another thing we could jump to in this. Is it weird to do that? To piss while you're on spaces? Is that a socially
Would it be weird to
acceptable thing
piss
do?
while you're on the phone?
Well, that's kind of the same question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
because,
if you mute it, like, yeah, that's nobody has to know.
because I would do that if I really had to pee.
Yeah.
But
right.
I also do a lot of weird things that aren't necessarily conventionality with the rest of society. So
Other people might disagree.
I'm
Yeah.
not the person to ask about, is this
Acceptable?
socially
Yeah.
acceptable thing to do?
Well,
Because I did try to fight Pierce Wells in Taj Bar 48
Meh.
hours ago.
meh. I think that's normal drunk activity. You know? I think that's socially acceptable. Get into a little scrap. We were outside. It wasn't in the bar. Those are very different things.
Okay, so I have a topic to bring up. I was watching a Daily Dose of Buckley video earlier today. It's a good channel. It is like it's almost like a grade A, under A type of channel where it's very minimal editing. It's just like,
Chill. Yeah.
bringing the Shutterstock images up just to kind of have a background to the shit that he's talking
Fuck
about.
yeah.
Which I think he does it entertaining enough where it doesn't really matter. And I've told you that I listen to YouTube videos like podcasts.
Yeah, just
But it's this video called How Not to Pick Up Women. And so it's basically deconstructing this TikTok that's like 3 minutes long, and it's this woman recording herself in a store. She's working at a Hot Topic or something.
yeah.
And this guy's just bombarding her with questions like, have
Fuck
you
that.
graduated high school?
Ew.
How old are you?
Creep.
And she just keeps giving these like
Sheesh.
one-word answers, very.
Yeah.
And
Obviously.
he's like, "What's your Instagram?" She's like, "I don't have Instagram."
Oh my god.
And she's like, "I think social media spreads a lot of negativity, so I don't really use it."
Yeah.
Which is obviously cap because she's on TikTok,
Right,
She,
but,
she doesn't want to extend this conversation anymore, and so at the end of the conversation, he throws an absolute Hail Mary.
Holy shit.
And he says, "Do you like hacky sack?"
What?
And Buckley's like, imagine if that was the game winner right there. If that was what took him over the edge.
She's like, you know what? I actually love
I
hacky
fucking
sack.
love hacky sack. Thank you for asking.
I'm a secret hacky sack enthusiast. I go to a weekly club. How did you know?
So this video made a bunch of incels mad
Yeah,
in
right.
the comments, like you could imagine.
He's just trying blah blah blah. It's like, well,
And
sure, that's how you think you talk to women. Jesus Christ.
And I get the point of like that's a horrible like place to trap somebody is
At
their
work?
job
Yes.
where they can't even tell you
They
off, let
have
alone
to be
leave.
nice. Yeah. Right.
Like I can't even imagine how awful a situation like that would be where you're just like, well, I'm being literally like harassed.
Yeah.
And if you're working at like a Hot Topic, you don't have anyone else there with you to even kind of
Yeah. There's only so much
diffuse
you
it.
can do. You got to be polite without like making them think that you actually want to talk to them. Really.
Yeah.
Which is such a fine line, especially for a fucking incel who's gonna be like, oh my god, she like smiled, she loves
She
me,
looked
we're gonna
at
get
me.
married.
She looked at me.
Like straight up though, that's how that situation really is like you can't give them anything.
And the video is cringe for so many reasons.
Yeah.
I think the number one reason being cringe for me is I can't relate to, the being, like, harassed like that.
Yeah.
But, like, just when I'm having a conversation with someone older, and this happened to me, like, a week ago, and they just bombard you with questions, and you just give very taut responses, very short. Even sometimes you'll give the one-word responses, like, in this situation.
Yeah.
It just never ends. It fucking never ends. I hate being interrogated like that. It feels so awkward to just...
There's just genuinely nothing you can do when you're at work like that. Like, even a more relatable scenario is just, somebody's being kind of a dick to you at work, but you can't just tell them off.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of take that shit a little bit and then, try to do whatever's gonna get them out of there the quickest.
I think workplaces should change their attitude towards that.
Facts.
I think you probably agree with this, that the customer is always right shit is bullshit.
It's so bull. Because sometimes motherfuckers are wrong and they know it and they know they can get away with it there.
But you need to treat some people differently than other people.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and is just notoriously a dick, and it's just always going to, even if it's not like one of the people you have at your work that you all have banned.
Right.
Even if it's just a person that's just gonna come
be a bit of a pain,
be an asshole for no reason to service workers who definitely do not get paid enough to deal with the temperature not being exactly 69.5 degrees to people's liking.
And they're under the vent, of course. Literally, that's always the case.
We should treat different people differently. Like, I get keeping every dollar in the business that you can, but it's also like, do you want those people's money? Like, is it worth the same $5 for a coffee or a beer that it would be with any other nice person? It's a harder $5 to get.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's the real way to put it is, like, not just might they take longer because they're being difficult, which means you're not getting to other customers who are going to give you more money as quickly, but also you have to put extra effort into just doing a simple task for someone who is coming into your job to be anal about something that they could probably do themselves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
with coffee or with beer, it's just like, if you're a bitch about it.
Yeah, if you need
do it at home.
Yeah, if you need shit to be done in a very specific way that you could just easier to do yourself.
Right. No, that's always been my thing with like coffee shop industry is like, if you're coming in and getting a $7 or $8 latte every day, multiple times a day, you could probably afford an espresso machine. If you really think about it.
That would be cheaper.
That
would be cheaper.
And so when you come in and you're just a bitch about like how your drink is made, like I want 1.5 pumps of blah blah blah, and 1 pump of this, and the milk has to be 180 degrees exactly. Like, shut the fuck up and go do it yourself then.
So, I want to have a greater conversation about incels. And I'm about to say maybe what sounds like some pro-incel shit. I don't want it to come off that way. I just want to have a conversation here.
Yeah.
Is maybe the conditions of dating in the 21st century causing people male loneliness to kind
incel-y?
Yeah. Because this video made me think, like, you're not supposed to ask girls out at work, which is fine. I get that.
Exactly.
But when it comes to being out and about doing stuff like workout, you're not supposed to ask a girl when you're working out because that's creepy.
It's kind of a vulnerable space, though. Like they're probably in more revealing clothing and stuff like that. So like it is kind of creepy, and especially my big thing in clips like that is motherfuckers are wearing headphones. You're wearing your headphones. You don't want people coming up and just talking to you.
True. Yeah.
Use your brain a little bit.
But I've also seen videos where girls are just trying to get clicks and they're just filming random dudes that are existing in the space and be like, this guy is so creepy.
He's staring at me.
Get this guy away from me. And it's like, bro, maybe he's just trying to fucking work out.
Yeah.
Like, if they're not even approaching you. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's different.
But on top of that, even, like, a bar, I don't think it's as socially acceptable anymore to be picking up the opposite sex. Because how many times do you hear, like, oh, I wasn't really going out for that reason. I was just trying to hang out with my friends. And, you know, there's all this... the bad people ruin it for the rest of us. Some people take advantage of drunk people, and it's fucked up. But, you know, that was always the place where, you know, in the TV shows, that's where you picked up whoever you wanted to pick up was... And even online dating, I feel like, is a sham. I've never done online dating. You know, we've both been out of the fucking dating game for so long. Thank you, fucking God.
Right.
Because all this shit
now
is
seems
stuff
like
that
the
I
worst time.
felt back then.
Yeah.
Because I've never been the type to just, you know,
just
be
chatting
at a bar
online is kind of weird to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're basically talking to a stranger. It's way easier in my mind to, like, vet people by meeting in a public space, you know?
But I know people that treat shit like Tinder like a game that...
it is.
Where they just never...
It's like the slot machine except for sex.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's how some people use it.
But some people don't even use it for that. Some people literally just swipe on there to talk to some people and fuck around with some people. And on their end, you know, it's cool because that's their expectations. They don't...
that's what they want out of it,
They
whatever.
just want to fuck around. But if you're the dude on the receiving end, it's like, okay, can't pick up girls anywhere else. This is something that's designed to go on a date or go fuck or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're still getting ghosted by everyone, and then you kind of look internally and you're like, am I the piece of shit?
See, but I don't...
And if you're an incel, you're like, man, I'm a fucking decent enough human being, and I just can't get the time of day from anybody.
So, I think you're missing another crucial trait for what an incel is.
Yeah.
I get all the way up to the point of maybe they look at themselves and they're like, you know, maybe I'm struggling because it's me.
Yeah.
You know where they go to find answers?
Andrew Tate.
Exactly.
Andrew Tate.
They go on all levels except
shit.
physical. I am a wolf, and the pack mentality applies to real life. And if I act like the alpha, I am the alpha, and females will want me. That's how their brain starts to think.
So here's the thing.
Slippery slope.
When you're looking for help.
I think it's partially because mental health advocacy is not real, prominent in male culture. And I think if it was, then maybe some motherfuckers would get therapy and kind of realize that they needed to change their lifestyle or whatever, and change how they talk a little bit. Because
for sure,
some people genuinely don't know how to talk to the opposite sex, and that's its own problem. But it's not something
that's the
resolved.
crux of those comments in that video. That dude's clearly being a fucking asshole. Yeah. So acting like there's any defense of it is kind of
if
crazy.
you're using your brain, you realize that it's not okay to try to hit on someone while they're at work.
But do you know?
And asking if you're still in high school is creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, he's trying to check the age.
Do you know why dudes go to Andrew Tate when they're fucking incels? They don't have help anywhere else.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying.
When can you imagine having a conversation with your dad about having to get girls? I cannot imagine how awful that would be. Imagine
I think
your goofy ass dad being like, "Well, just
talk
to her, ask her about herself."
I was about to say,
get a hobby, go somewhere. And that's kind of what I was talking about.
No, generational trauma is bad enough. Imagine your dad's bad with women and he gives you advice. Shit. Then he's just killed the bloodline at a certain point. He said, well, son, what you're going to do is go out to a bar and just, shit that works, for one person isn't going to work for another person either, Yeah, that's a big part of it, too, is that those, incel icons really simplify stuff,
But But I understand why people go to that route, because what's your last ditch effort
on them as their audience?
Yeah,
like they know what to say.
Like, what's the last ditch effort when you don't have the answers from
go to the internet.
Past generations? You might ask your friend who's dating, and they're probably like, "Oh, well, this shit was easy. It was just circumstantial, and it just kind of happens. It happens when it's right." When you're legitimately looking for an answer, and someone says it'll just happen when it's right,
when it's supposed to happen,
that is not a fucking legitimate, serious answer. So what do then? Google. How do I get women?
And then Andrew Tate pops
up.
A
fucking Andrew Tate video comes up.
Or that
and
other
he tells you the most
asshole.
Rapey, fucked up shit of like, just assert your
You gotta assert your dominance. You gotta take women they want you to. Yeah.
Yeah, just treat her like a whore.
Literally, that's what he fucking says, though. And but what's worse is I think that it starts young. I think that it's not just like 20-year-olds. I think there's like 12-year-olds that are incels out there just because they have unfettered access to social media, the internet, and so it just kind of comes up in their feed because it's got, well, you're a boy content, content, and it's just be the man.
The algorithm is a huge
factor
because you're 100% right. It is like, oh, you're a guy. Here is stuff that other guys like,
and I know you've had that pop up in your pop up in your feed. I've had that pop up in my feed. I've had other people that are so far from being like a straight incel fucking man have that pop up in their feed because of other shit that the algorithm's picking up.
The algorithm's like you're a guy and you like anime. So
you watch this one anime this one time. Sure you go.
Here's incel videos.
Yeah, exactly. Don't watch anime if you don't want incel content to come up on your page. Basically, I think we solved the problem.
How do we solve the problem?
I think anime is the problem. I think that's what we ended at. I think that makes sense.
I think that's as much as we ever need to say about this topic ever again. I think that's just the definitive...
Anime makes incels. Oh my god, it's my musical intermission. Let's go.
Doesn't it feel weird that you had musical intermission 8 days ago? and now
I'm kind of happy about it. Can't be mad.
Welcome to musical intermission.
Later that day, he gonna be playing golf. I'm from that era, we don't pay it if you waited wrong. Back when your parents got your baby shoes plated bronze. We took hip-hop and made it off. I sold quarters, just so happened I'm the author of your favorite songs. They bullshitted me, I played along. More balls than them niggas who got hit with the Reagan laws. Let's go.
So we just listened to Crown for Kings by Benny the Butcher and Black Thought. That song has a bop. Whole vibe.
Talk to me. What do you think?
This is one of those, like, when I first heard it, I couldn't stop listening to it songs, Absolutely. Like, I would just play it back to back to back. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd drive to work listening to it with some other shit, and then I'd put it on when I was driving home from work type shit. It's just so good.
It's just so good.
Like, the bars are solid. His flow's solid.
The beat is awesome.
And the beat's amazing. And I love all the, like, atmospheric sounds. Mm-hmm. The oohs and the ahs, like it.
And then it's the strings too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's not.
It's conversational. Well, it kind of like hits all the notes for me. Like
me too.
Sometimes stuff, like I'd put Kendrick as can be sonically solid. Sometimes it's super conversational,
and sometimes it's just not shit that you're in the mood for.
Right.
Which
sometimes it's too heady. And so this kind of balances, like, just the vibe is pretty heady, and, you could really get into it and listen to it with some other heady shit. Or you can just vibe to it and kind of zone out to it. You know, you can do both because it's so lyrically solid and the flow is so good.
Yeah.
But the beat is so solid as well. Like, I think it's one of those, like, if you took away the beat and just kept vocals, it would still be good. You know, like if you kind of just reduced all that background noise and it was just the flow, it'd still be a great song.
Yeah. So, I think you know what question I'm going to ask. So, Black Thought, legendary lyricist, legend of the roots, you know. No, you can't say enough good stuff about Black Thought, and Carl played him on the show once before. And Benny the Butcher is a newer artist, at least comparative to Black Thought, who's been in the public eye since the late
roots,
90s.
Yeah, which is forever.
Who had the better verse on this song? Both of them go for a solid 2+ minutes.
Yeah.
Of just... I mean, they both dropped probably 64 bars. I mean, they went for a minute.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love how conversational it is at the same time because of the way it's structured. Yeah, it's not conversational in the standard sense of, like, you know, sometimes the bars are really just the artist talking to the audience. It's more so that there's kind of this back and forth, which I'm always a sucker for.
Who won?
I'm really trying to think.
I'm not going to give my answer till you give an answer. I don't want to influence.
I respect that. Nah.
Because there's not a wrong answer.
No.
I think both
it's
verses
just
are
what
ridiculous.
You feel. Because I think, honestly, like, they're on par vocally and all that. It's just about the verse.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I kind of like Benny the Butcher's story a bit more.
Yeah, I like Benny's verse better too, cause I think a lot of Thought's verse is great.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part is we were blue-black, stuck in the glue trap. I had to pull my own self up by the bootstraps.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting line, cause I don't know how much intentionality you put behind it, but that phrase was invented as an impossible task. If you think about it,
and now people say it so seriously.
Yeah,
which is ironic as fuck.
Yeah, but there's also something to be said of really pulling yourself out of the mud, which is seemingly impossible task from poverty to the success that Black Thought's experienced. But as far as verses, this Benny verse is a modern classic. It's fucking insane.
You always talk about some stuff hits you just because they're saying it it's the same thing that other people have said before, but they're saying it in a unique way. I think that all of this, all the imagery that he's painting, the way that he's saying stuff, you know, I like the burn my bridges, came back a good swimmer like Phelps.
So good.
You know?
Good. Because if you just said, I
this
burned
marathon
the bridges...
shit, so let's see who first to the finish, you know? Just
Yeah.
It's such specific imagery, you know? It's talking about, his strength and shit like that, which is cool because sometimes stuff like this is a little more somber even.
You know, I was going to say that exact same thing you said just now about saying regular things in a different way. Black Thought said, I've been living proof that pressure makes precious stones.
Yeah, exactly. No, that one hits too.
1 billion rappers have said pressure makes diamonds. 1 billion.
Yeah.
It's been said 1 billion times. And he said it in a way where it's better in the rhyme scheme. He says it in a way that's different than, just the generic way.
I see before I knew an A&R, I was weighing hard back when Nicki Minaj was in a training bra. You play this game, you better play it hard.
The judge will give you life, and later that day, he gonna be playing golf.
Exactly. That shit is hard.
That whole scheme is fucking insane. Because I think any OG rap like that is dope of I've been fucking selling coke.
Yeah, exactly.
Since the early 2000s. That's when fucking Nicki Minaj.
Right, exactly.
And just that whole rhyme scheme, how everything rhymes with each other. A&R, Nicki Minaj, Straight Bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And just that line about the judge giving you a life sentence and then going to play golf, just showing like how unempathetic the judicial system is, how unforgiving it is, how there are no consequences for the people actually perpetuating it.
I like the walk in my shoes, we got Shaq-sized souls, you know? And there's like a double entendre and stuff in there as well.
Again, like...
And then rhymes that with, we flatline those whack rap wearing half-size clothes. I like the end of it too, though, because he's got the... This is something that's been said before in a song we've talked about, actually, but I'm from that era, we don't pay if you wait it wrong. We've heard that in some songs before. Back when your parents got your baby shoes plated bronze, we took hip-hop and made it ours. I sold quarters, just so happens I'm the author of your favorite songs. Yeah. Or my bitch keeps saying I'm famous, but it ain't hit me yet. Or ain't hit me, I'm too ghetto, mellowed out, this Hollywood shit tricky.
I think...
Talking about just, like, dealing with fame and stuff. Like, this goes through his whole life, really, because it's going from, you know, back when I was selling coke to fucking, you know, changing my life and then being at a point where, like, I can't even believe I'm famous.
There's something to be said about keeping your story in every song, but also changing it enough where it's not boring, where it's not the
keep
same
it relevant,
thing every time.
You talk about different parts of your life. You can talk about how you're feeling about it now. Shit like that. Because it's one thing to just be living in the past, but you can talk about the past and make it relevant. Yeah. You know?
That EP that this is on.
I was about to say, this is the first song on the album.
It's so good. It's such a good...
This is a great way to start an album.
Yes.
You know? Like, this is one of those songs that you could not know anything about it, hear it for the first time, and if I told you it was the start of an album, you'd be like, well, that's fucking dope, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you could have...
It feels that way.
You could have never listened to Biggie the Butcher before, and it could have been, like, the Friday night where that released, and you're like, okay, let me just press play on that, and then you hear that, and you're like, okay, well, I'm listening to every single other song on this shit. I think that's so important to front load the good songs, at least a little bit.
For me, it's kind of a turnoff when an album starts with like an interlude or something like that. You know, like they'll be throwing, you know, if you're Kendrick or something, you can start your album with some spoken word poetry shit, and it can be hard and get me like in that sort of headspace to listen to the rest of the album with that mentality. But if you just start your album with like a 30-second intro thing, get over yourself. Just give me what you're trying to do.
Here's the difference. Here's really the difference there between Kendrick doing that and another artist doing that. Yeah. A lot of times when some random artist tries to do the whole skit thing, you know the album's not going to have any conceptual thought in it, and they're just like, oh, what if if there was a story about, you know, me being in the future or something. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, I don't really give a fuck about
because I don't even know.
And it's poorly incorporated into, you know, there's not really an executed concept at all, so it's just like, why do I care? But with Kendrick, when he started an album with Blood, and you're like, it makes you... It puts in context every other song on the album. It connects the beginning from the end. It does so many different things where you know that he put actual thought into, okay, I'm not gonna...
And sometimes people are just trying to be...
random weird shit. Yeah. Okay, next thing.
Next topic.
I want to do a quick Louis Sports Corner. Okay. So, there's a bunch of different ways I could have gone this week because it was... filled with disappointment this weekend. I watched 0 seconds of this game, which is how despondent I am from Louisville basketball. But Louisville played like a 1-8 DePaul team and lost. And I think that's a tipping point for a lot of people. I think a lot of people that were kind of like, okay, let's wait and see how the rest of the season goes.
Right. Now you know.
Now you almost have to press the button.
Yeah.
And the fire Kenny Payne thing has just become louder and louder.
Yeah.
And usually I'm not...
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly.
Usually I'm not a big proponent of, like, halfway through the season firing a coach.
Yeah.
I think...
Do you think it's that bad?
Yes. I think in this situation, I would be okay with it for a few reasons. One, I don't think been very good for the kids, like, in general. Like, I don't think that he's... Like, here's an example. So this became national media news a couple weeks ago, and I kind of wish we talked about it at the time. But it was a show where we had a bunch of other shit to talk about.
Yeah,
so we just didn't.
Sometimes the docket's too full.
So there's this freshman guard named Tyler Johnson, and the kid's going to be a stud. He's got all the talent of the world, super athletic, has great court vision, makes a lot of good plays. At the first half of a game, a couple games ago, he played like 2 minutes, and so in the post game, you know, they ramped up his minutes in the second half, and they won the game because he is great.
Yeah, he made that comeback.
And so they asked Kenny in the press conference, and he was like, you know, I don't know if I should say this right now.
What?
Which, when a coach says that, it's like, oh my God, someone stop him before he says whatever he's about to say. But he was like, we didn't have the tights that he wanted, so he didn't know if he wanted to play.
What?
And then he just kind of shaking his head like, you know, kids nowadays. And at first that sounds fucking insane. It sounds like, you know, cut him from the team today. That's soft-ass mentality of worrying about fucking tights. You know what it really was, though? He has a groin injury, and there's these, like, compression shorts that you wear under it that helps a lot with groin
like
injuries.
The discomfort, yeah.
So he probably just wanted to keep himself not hurt more, because, you know, groin injury sounds fucking incredibly painful.
Yeah.
And it can be lingering.
You're running around on the fucking court like you're stretching those muscles. Yeah, like that shit's gonna hurt.
So for Kenny to kind of shame him of being
publicly
like, yeah, man, he's just soft, you know. He didn't say it in as many words, but he was like, you know.
But he shook his head disapprovingly,
So not only is that a bad look that he was talking publicly about that situation, but it's a bad look that he was just... I mean, that's an example where he just doesn't seem to be actually care about the kids.
Yeah.
Here's another example, and this is something that's been a very strange narrative throughout the season. So last season we recruited this guy named Koron Davis. He was a JUCO player, which means he played in like a lower level college that doesn't play D2.
Yeah. And
they basically found this guy out of nowhere, and there's a lot of question marks of how he even ended up with a scholarship on a Louisville roster.
That's funny.
He's just this fucking nobody, basically. And that's not to shit on him. He was literally like... They do like a top 300 JUCO prospects, and he wasn't even cracked on that list.
What?
So he came out of nowhere. We recruited him, and for like most of the season at this point, like 6 games, he's been away from the team. He hasn't been on the bench. He hasn't been even coming to games at all. And so one of the reporters asked about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, I don't really want to address that. Koron Davis isn't in trouble, and that's all I can say right now.
What?
And
That almost implies there's something that he should be in trouble for.
And so there's...
Is this man on the run from the law? Like, what the fuck?
And
that was anonymous
and
as
there's
hell.
still been no communication about that at all.
Wild.
And the game before last, I don't even remember who we played, but he was spotted like in the stands. Like he wasn't even allowed. He wasn't even allowed on the bench, and he's might have bought his own ticket, which is a fucking insane
that would be
thing
weird
to think
as
about.
fuck.
But
Whoa.
but just like the fact that he's not even allowed to sit at the bench, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that could even be. Like, I'm just so confused by.
Maybe he's a weirdo. Maybe he's like a fucking creep, and they scouted him because like he's connected somehow, and so that was just the way that they got him a scholarship at U of L, and so.
And then they found out some shit about him.
Yeah, and now he isn't on the team, but he's still on the team because he has to be on the team for the scholarship.
Maybe he's like, yeah, I don't know.
You get what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Like, that would make sense enough.
Maybe he's a secret agent.
Yeah, he's
I
a
have
plant.
no idea.
He's a fucking plant.
Just all of this stuff is doing damage to the player's psyche.
Yeah.
This already damaged program is becoming more damaged, and I hate it for the players because I think we have some legitimately talented players this year, and for us to be losing games to DePaul because we have no scheme and they're just kind of out there freestyling, hoping that their talent supersedes just rolling the ball out there and playing street ball. Like,
yeah,
it's bad, man. It is.
I would agree that there is kind of no reason that we should be losing to like totally unranked teams and stuff like that, which is wild.
Yeah, DePaul had only won one game before us.
Right.
And you know who they beat?
Some other fucking random ass.
South Dakota.
Yeah, exactly. Do they even have enough people in South Dakota to make a baseball or basketball team?
Well, they don't have enough to make a basketball team. They certainly don't have enough people to make a baseball team. I'll tell you that.
Well, usually what people put it into is like, do you have enough people for a football team? Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Is there like 6 people total in South Dakota?
Yeah, and that's everyone that's on the team.
Exactly.
I shouldn't be making jokes because North Dakota is even more of a desolate wasteland.
I mean,
and
all
I'm
those
from
states
there.
are, the Montanas and stuff like that. I mean, shit.
Isn't that just bizarre? Like,
There's so much land and just nobody. There's nobody out there.
they just can't get anyone to live out there. That's part of the reason why they had, like, the Homestead Act, because they wanted to fill up a bunch of... part of the reason was also racism.
Yeah.
They wanted to give the poor white people the resources so that there wouldn't be land to give away in reparations and stuff like that. But they did want to just fill up the whole country, so they were like, yeah, just post up out there.
Well, especially when, the only way you're getting news is by, like, horse mail, So you need places in between for motherfuckers to stop at.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Gotta be something out there.
My like great uncle or something like that was a homesteader.
Really?
So they just
Where'd they start?
Just like in the desert in fucking uninhabited land, and this dude wrote like letters before he croaked of like, my wife died, my child died.
Damn.
And I don't have...
Back when everybody was getting like polio and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And you're away from civilization, so no one can even fucking save you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how crazy you would go if you were just...
out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, and stuck.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I just saw a video today of somebody's like Ring camera showing what like a red alert for snow is, and it was just like 6 feet of snow in this time lapse, and it just did not stop snowing.
That's insane.
And that's one of those things where it's like, nowadays that's a problem. Like, that'll take down the electricity and shit like that.
Yeah.
Imagine you're out in a fucking cabin by yourself.
And you're just like, well, I hope that I can ration.
Yeah, I hope I have enough food so I don't
this little bit of
die.
food I have to survive. That sounds awful.
That does sound awful.
You know what else sounds awful about olden times now that we're talking about this? Just the lack of ways to entertain yourself. Imagine you're in a cabin by yourself. What the fuck are you doing? You might not even know how to read. You might not have any books.
You might not even know how to read. That's actually probably the worst case scenario.
So what the fuck are you doing when you're trapped inside the house?
I was about to say, I think that's why, people drink, and why cigarettes were so popular for so long. Is just there's nothing else to do. Why not just like dissociate?
Imagine how horribly bored you would be if you were just.
Back in the day, motherfuckers were like
a bottle of alcohol and you were necking it. You're just fucking drunk, doing nothing, sitting down.
See, I was about to say, you know how there's like the spittoons outside of a saloon in like a Western scenario? It's just like, imagine you're so bored that you start to challenge your friends for who can spit the farthest. You know?
I thought a spittoon was just for spitting, and I didn't know it was like
it is for spitting in, but like, there's also sort of a challenge, like a technique for like shooting it, because it's just like tobacco, spit.
I feel like kids do that. I've definitely been on the playground and been like, let's see who can spit further. Fucking little Ben Chim.
Ben Chim.
Who
Who outspit who?
I probably did. I have no recollection of if that's even a false memory or not, but I'm sure that I did.
No, it's easier when it's just like a high up place. Then you just have no reason not to see what happens if you spit.
You think from here we'd be able to spit on Axel?
No. I physically could not.
I'll bet you $5 I can.
That would be insane, actually.
Look, he's looking at me. He's like, don't you fucking do that.
This is my home, bro.
You're a fucking grown-ass man, dude. You're talking about spit. Don't look at me like that.
Poor Axel.
I know. All right.
He's just trying to vibe.
On that note.
Anything else to say?
Anime is bad.
Anime is bad. Louis can spit really far.
I'm graduating tomorrow.
That's awesome. That's the real news. That's the best news on here so far. Yeah.
I don't know, Vivik pissing on spaces.
What we learned is remember to turn off your mic. Yeah. Remember to turn off your mic. All right, we'll be back next Thursday. Every Thursday. Highly suspicious. We're gonna get fucking Pierce up in this bitch.
Forever.